Georgia counties also continue to potentially see some stronger thunderstorms and heavier rainfall here later this evening. So kind of some isolated to scattered activity right now, but it does look like we could see one last whammy of storms, so to speak, between about 6 and 8 p.m. tonight. I think after 8 o'clock, or let's just say after sunset, the storm threat goes down a lot. We'll still see some lingering showers, but most of us should begin to dry out by about 11 p.m. this evening. Overnight temperatures then cooling off into the mid-70s tonight. But your Tuesday tomorrow, pretty similar story. It's going to be another very humid start to the day. I know I was taking my dog Enzo for a walk this morning, and it really, like, we were not exerting ourselves that much at all. But I just had like sweat pouring down my face, and that's kind of pretty much be what it's going to feel like all week. Dew points in the mid to upper 70s. It's very tropical-like air mass thanks to that stalled frontal boundary that we have in place over us right now. So not only is it going to keep things very humid, very steamy as well, temperatures in the mid-90s, real field temperatures up to about 105, 107 even, but because of that humidity and that daytime heating, we're going to watch for pretty much daily afternoon showers and thunderstorms pretty much every single day through the rest of this week and even into this upcoming weekend. But for starters, let's just look at Tuesday, break it down day by day, at least a little bit here. I think most of us have a good chance to see, at least at a minimum, some scattered thunderstorms. I think our I-95 corridor probably has the best chance to see some of those stronger storms and heavier rainfall. Now, you'll notice I have that darker highlighted area for Nassau, Camden, and Glenn counties in southeast Georgia. That stalled front still primarily up across southeastern Georgia. I'm combining the front with the sea breeze collisions that I'm expecting tomorrow. Through the first half of the day, winds are going to be out of the southwest at the surface, and also the steering flow aloft in the atmosphere, anywhere from 1,000 to 5,000 feet, is also out of the southwest. So between both the surface winds and the upper level winds, it's going to keep that east coast sea breeze pretty much pinned to the coast through most of the day. So by the afternoon, it's very, very slowly begins to make its way inland, right? We're expecting those sea breeze collisions to occur in and around that I-95 corridor, so around the Jacksonville metro area. But because the front is to the north of Jacksonville, combining the sea breeze collisions and the front, that's why I've highlighted Glenn, Camden, and Nassau counties probably for the best chance to see some heavier rainfall tomorrow. Now, specifically for Jacksonville, here's a look at kind of just your precipitation chances hour by hour as you go throughout your Tuesday. So first half of the day, hot, humid, maybe an isolated stray shower by the lunchtime hour, but really it's going to be after 1 and 2 o'clock and through the rest of the afternoon up until about dinner time then, going to be your best chance for storms. So there it is, about 10 a.m. You'll notice some isolated showers out towards the Gulf Coast and I-75, so the Swanee Valley could see some mid to late morning convection. But as the morning wears on, you get more so into the early afternoon hours. A few isolated storms beginning to pop up. Fairly similar to what we, saw here earlier this afternoon. But I do think it's going to be, 3, 4, 5 o'clock then. Those sea breeze collisions begin to occur. Those thunderstorms become a little bit stronger, a little bit more violent, and that's going to be our best chance to see them. So this model does a pretty nice job of pinning those right around the I-95 corridor. And you might ask, well, if you're saying everything setup-wise is pretty similar to what we have today, why is tomorrow not a weather impact alert day? I think it could be close, but aloft in the atmosphere, so we're talking 5 to 25,000 feet aloft, there is some slightly drier air that's going to work in from the southwest. I believe that drier air is going to just limit the overall coverage of storms. So although we are still expecting thunderstorms, perhaps not nearly as many of us will see the storms tomorrow as did today, or certainly who did over this past weekend. So because of that, we're keeping it just below the weather impact alert threshold for tomorrow. But of course, the forecast is always pretty fluid, so if we happen to see some changes and it looks to be, a little bit more moist in the upper levels, then of course, we'll issue that alert if need be. But for the time being, we're really thinking, some scattered thunderstorms along that sea breeze collision and that sea breeze front between probably best time frame between like 3 and 6 o'clock tomorrow evening. After 6, most of the storms then, as you'll notice, beginning to push offshore. So it does look like later tomorrow night, 7, 8 o'clock, right before sunset, might actually have some very nice looking sunsets out there. Still have some upper level, cloud cover That could make some real vibrant oranges and reds in the sky out there if all the rain has moved offshore at that point. So could be a nice evening after a pretty stormy afternoon and early evening. So just be mindful. There will be some storms around for your evening commute tomorrow. I know kids are back to school this week, or a lot of them are heading back to school in Georgia. So after school practices and things of that nature could be impacted by some of the storms. And then, of course, I mean, here in Florida, although the kids aren't back to school, I know fall sports are certainly fully underway here now, whether they're in two-a-day practices or whatever it may be. Those, afternoon and evening storms might, rain out some of those practices. So just stay weather aware in case you got a storm rolling on through that poses a lightning risk. And that's pretty much, as I mentioned, going to be the theme here through the rest of this week and, of course, into this upcoming weekend. 60% chance of rain and storms nearly every single day. Could we issue a weather impact alert for a couple of those? Yes, I think we certainly could. But we're really going to try to wait until about the day or two before to fine-tune the forecast as best and as accurately as we possibly can to try to let you know, okay, when is it occurring? Where is it occurring? How many of you are going to see it? And then issue that alert if needed. So for now, we're keeping everyone at about 60, but the tropical moisture itself, that's staying in place through all of this week. So you're not going to notice a whole lot of variety in these day part graphics. Wednesday, still very humid, temperatures low 90s, real field temperatures up towards about 105. Thursday, perhaps a little bit cooler thanks to a northeast breeze, so things might feel a little bit better. I will say by Wednesday and Thursday, thanks to the more easterly and northeasterly breeze, that's going to help to propel or propagate our Atlantic sea breeze a little bit further inland. So those sea breeze collisions will likely occur closer to the Highway 301 corridor, in contrast to the I-95 corridor where we saw storms develop today and are expecting storms to develop tomorrow. So closer to Highway 301 and out towards the Swanee by your Wednesday and Thursday, but still many of us are going to have good rain chances nearly every single day over the next 7. So when you look at least through the end of next weekend, right? 95 in the Jacksonville metro, I mean, we're picking up at least 2 to 3 inches of rain when you average it out over the whole area. Of course, you're going to have some locally, higher amounts in some of those stronger thunderstorms and heavier downpours. But it's going to be a pretty just wet, soggy forecast over the next several days. So we're going to have plenty of storms to track and talk about here over the coming week. And we actually have some storms to talk about out in the ocean right now. National Hurricane Center, man, they were busy this weekend. At the end of last week, there was not a whole lot going on. But this weekend, I mean, they highlighted the area that is now Tropical Storm Dexter. Then they highlighted another area, that coastal low just off of the east coast of the first coast. And then off the western coast of Africa there, a tropical wave highlighted. So a lot going on, so let's break it down. First of which, Tropical Storm Dexter. We'll talk about that here in a second. Coastal low just off our east coast has been given a low 30% chance of development over the next 7 days, 0% chance over the next 48 hours. That's going to be a pretty similar scenario to what we've seen over the past, month and a half, where we get those coastal lows that form along these stalled fronts, and they really just enhance our rain and storm chances. It does not look like it will become a named storm based off of what I'm looking at right now, but if it did happen to strengthen at least a little bit, it does look like it would retrograde back to the west-northwest and would probably move onshore around South Carolina, somewhere between Savannah and Charleston. But again, not real concerned about that. Key there is it's likely just going to enhance our storm chances. And we'll break that down here a little bit further. And then, of course, you can see it there off the west coast of Africa, a medium 50% chance of development for that system. That one perhaps could be at least a little bit more interesting. But first, there it is, Dexter. Our fourth named storm of the Atlantic hurricane season, staying about 350 miles to the northwest of Bermuda, well off the coast of the United States. And you'll notice there, not really anticipating it to strengthen much more. It's currently has sustained winds at 45 miles per hour, but it's going to track to the northeast away from not only the first coast, but the mainland U.S. So this will pretty much just be a storm for the fish and for any sailors out there, way out in the ocean. spaghetti models and forecast tracks, very consistent here, showing that consistent northeasterly track. Not anticipating it to strengthen, primarily for two separate reasons. One, there's a lot of wind shear on the northern extent of it, and you may have noticed the eastern and northeastern quadrant of the storm has had a lot of convection. But the western and northwestern side, not so much. That's primarily due to just how much shear is currently there across the North Atlantic, pretty much from Virginia northward. So that's going to limit it. Also, it's going to start to move into some cooler waters there in the North Atlantic as well. So Dexter, done and dusted, won't impact us. That second area, that coastal low I talked about, is kind of in between where Dexter is and we are right now. There's some light thunderstorm activity and really just kind of showers out there in the ocean right now. Some models have shown this trying to, get some level of rotation and circulation, and I'll play it out here for you. So that stalled boundary stays over us, and there it is. You can see a little bit of a swirl, perhaps in this latest model run, a little bit more so than we have seen. So by Thursday, still just kind of meandering around out there. So we'll watch closely to see, what does occur with that, but at least for the time being, we're not expecting much from that through the end of the week. Perhaps by Friday, Saturday, and next Sunday, if that continues its retrograde to the west, back toward the first coast, we could see an enhancement of some shower and thunderstorm activity. Could also see some rough surf, but we've seen multiple scenarios like this already this summer, so I'm not too concerned about that, at least for the time being. I popped in the heat index trend in here randomly. So that's fun. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about right now. So sorry about that. There was a quick look, though, at what the real feel is going to be like over the next 5 days. Let's look ahead now to the tropical wave off the coast of West Africa. Really just kind of a disorganized area of showers and thunderstorm activity currently. But as it continues to slowly move westward, obviously it's in this area that we call the Intertropical Convergence Zone, or the ITCZ. This is an area that we will watch pretty much from this point through really the end of hurricane season, but especially through about the beginning of October, for storms to try to develop in this area, that main development region, and then continue to be pushed westward thanks to the trade winds and could head up toward us. Now, models are showing, more than likely this is going to make a little bit more of a northwesterly or even northerly turn up into the North Atlantic and won't be too much of a concern for us. I believe this model, which I believe is the European, brings it a little bit further west. So this is by 4 o'clock next Sunday, actually taking this tropical wave toward the Lesser Antilles, towards Puerto Rico, the Dominican, Haiti potentially. So we'll see. We still have a lot of time between now and then. Again, this is about 6 days out, and the models have not been consistent with any of these. There's a tropical wave that's possible even after this one that some folks might be trying to post those things on social media to get the clicks, the clickbait. But we're at the time of the year, folks, that pretty much, I would say 75% of the long-range models, if you look past 7 days, it's probably going to show you some beast storm by day 10 or day 12 or day 14, whatever it may be, in that long range. The ocean waters are incredibly warm, so of course some of these long range models are going to try and show a big storm developing. Don't let that scare you or anything like that. Once you get closer to that 7-week mark, okay, then we have a little bit of a better idea. So just with regards to this system itself, it's just a tropical wave of disorganized thunderstorms out there right now. It's got a long way to track across the Atlantic. There's a lot of dry Saharan air and Saharan dust just off to the north of it that may inhibit that tropical development here as we head toward the end of the week and even into this upcoming weekend. So again, key there is really that we have plenty of time between now and next weekend before that would even get close to even approaching land, meaning the Lesser Antilles or Puerto Rico. So a long way to go with that. I want to go back here quick before I show the 7-day, though, to just show the tropical outlook one last time while I click through everything. I apologize. There's Dexter. There we go. And yeah, that orange shaded area for that tropical wave, again, continues to take it a little bit more to the northwest rather than due west toward the Lesser Antilles. So wouldn't be too concerned about that. The area off our east coast has that low chance of development over the next 7 days. More than likely just going to be a weak coastal low that brings us a higher chance for some rain and thunderstorms by this upcoming weekend. So if you were hoping for a break from the rain and storms next weekend for any outdoor plans you might have, you're probably not going to get it. I know the Jags have their first preseason game next Saturday evening over at the Bank. I want to say they play the Steelers. I think they play the Pittsburgh Steelers next Saturday evening at 7 o'clock over there at the Bank. More than likely going to have some rain and thunderstorms around in the forecast, at least initially, earlier in the day. So if you have plans to go to the preseason game, just be mindful of that. And that's unfortunately just going to be our theme here. So any rainfall deficits that we have had up to this point so far, I just looked last night, our 2025 rainfall, at least for Jacksonville, we're about 3 inches below what we were at this point last year. So overall, it's been a slightly drier year, at least for where we measure the rainfall up at the Jacksonville International Airport. But I think that deficit is quickly going to become eroded as we just have these daily bouts of rain and storms that roll on in every single afternoon and evening. And of course, then if we do happen to get some level of a tropical system or tropical storm even that does make its way toward the first coast, we are not expecting that right now. But if we do, that of course is just going to increase the rain chances out there as well in your overall rain total. So there, I just want to show you the tropical outlook one last time. 3 areas the National Hurricane Center is monitoring, none of which are going to be impacting the first coast imminently in any way. Dexter, certainly not. So that's the only named system we have. I believe the next named system would be Erin. Erin is the next name on the list, E-R-I-N. So we'll continue to watch for that, but for the time being, still some scattered thunderstorms out there for the rest of tonight, most of which will begin to dissipate and move offshore after sunset this evening, leaving us with some drying skies overnight tonight. And then tomorrow, we start it right back up. Southwesterly breeze through the first half of the day is going to pin that Atlantic East Coast sea breeze right near I-95. So that's where we are expecting those sea breeze collisions to occur for your Tuesday. Then thanks to a little bit more of an easterly onshore breeze for both your Wednesday, your Thursday, and your Friday, although we will see some isolated to scattered storms near the coast, I think the best chance to see some heavier rainfall will begin to move inland closer to Highway 301 and even between 301 and the I-75 corridor there for the back half and the latter half of this upcoming week. Temperature-wise, we're going to be a little bit cooler Thursday and Friday because of the northeasterly breeze and some of the rain chances. So low 90s there. Some locations could even be in the upper 80s across our southeast Georgia counties. But then by the end of the weekend, you'll notice southeast breeze on Sunday. And then that looks like it'll kind of wiggle wobble between a southeast and easterly breeze into the first half of next week. Temperatures, they're going to rebound back into the mid-90s more than likely by next week. So if you happen to get a shower or thunderstorm that rolls on in and cools you down, enjoy it while you can because we are only on August 4th. We got a long way to go with regards to the heat and the humidity out there. It's certainly going to be another very humid week. I'm already sweating at the thinking of it. Alrighty, well, I'm meteorologist Ross Mumal. We'll keep you up to date on everything to do with the storms here locally and with the forecast in the tropics. But for now, enjoy the rest of your Monday night. Take care, guys.